Hey everybody, thanks for coming fishing with me today. Today was a tough day fishing. I had some technical issues and the fish are moving around. Y'all will see a little red highlight. That's the fish I'm targeting, and you can see he's in a little school of 3 or 4 of them, but first two spooked. This one comes up. He looks at it, but it's not what he wants. So he follows it a little bit and he zips off. I don't know if he spooked also, but he didn't want it. And so I kind of started suspecting after a few were like that I may need to change jigs. Um, and I see this one right here. I wasn't quite lined up. The fish were moving constantly. You'll see me. I'm adjusting the beam, um, and that's me trying to swim that jig over to where this fish is drifting to. The water is moving. The fish are moving with the water. All the water is incredibly high. Watch him. He comes up. He follows it a little bit. He looks at it. Not what he wants. And so I figured out right there that I probably needed to change jigs. And I think I did here. I swapped jigs probably 5 times this morning, trying to figure out what they were after. And this one, I think he just hit it on reaction, because I had changed over to one, but it didn't really work out too well. And so I went up switching again. I think that one was just a reaction bite. I think that's the only reason I got that one right there. That's a good fish though. That's a lot of my fish were big today. They were 12 and better, a whole bunch of them. I wound up with 14 total for the day. I think you see most of those. I lost some of the footage, but for most of them are here. But when I say they're moving, I mean, like, these fish are. It was tough finding anything that was any fish that were holding on any kind of structure. Most of them were moving in the water, chasing all these bait fish everywhere. It's a very different picture now than it was a month or two ago, where they were all holding on the timber. Uh, Everything was nice and calm. You come up and kind of pick off the fish. Very different story right now. The water is high, and when I say high, I mean like higher than it was. It's really high. Um, it, I've made 3 or 4 fishing trips since my last video, and this is the only one I've been able to get footage out of. A few of those trips, I only caught a few fish. I went out into some bayous, and the water's just incredibly high everywhere right now around here. Watch this one. He's chasing it. That fish was not holding on that timber, though. He was actually an open water fish that just happened to be coming by the fish I was targeting. Um, and so I didn't even get the fish I targeted there. He just happened to be coming around. I honestly think I may have done better today if I had just been spider rigging and kind of floating around, letting these fish, as because there were a lot of fish everywhere. But if I had spider rigged, I could have dragged some shiners around out in some of the open water where I saw more fish, and I probably could have caught more that way today than single poling. That may have been the method. Now, that fish, he kind of jumped off of there. He set up. He looks up at it, and then he's coming up after it. I see a lot of fish do that, where they'll look a little bit spooked or alarmed. They'll swim out in front of the jig's path, and then they'll set up for an ambush. So they're not just hitting it immediately. They'll set up for that ambush. This was a good tree right here. It had some that were laid up on it. A good setup where you can actually target them and get your jig down to them, as opposed to chasing the fish out in the open water, which is really tough when the water's moving like this. Ah, yeah, I lost a lot of footage today. I think the cold weather was messing with the electronics a little bit. Um, it was really cold today. You guys see me wearing face mask and 2 layers of gloves, all kinds of stuff. Um, that was it was really cold. It was like 30 degrees out there this morning. There was ice, on my boat. Very cold. Electronics don't always like the cold, but I think that's why I was having some issues with some of the electronics kind of glitching up a little bit. Yeah, and this one, the LiveScope screen kind of locked up a little bit, and so I didn't have it. There's a few of these catches where I didn't have the LiveScope recording, but because it would lock up here and there. I'm gonna find a solution for that in the future so that I can keep electronics a little warmer on these days. Well, hopefully it's not too much of an issue much longer. It'll get warmer. These fish are on the move. Like they are out of their fall, winter. Eh, they may still be in a little bit of a winter pattern right now, honestly, but they're definitely out of that fall pattern completely, and they're moving around. I'm seeing more eggs, lots more eggs when I clean these fish, so it won't be much longer before they set up for pre-spawn. There he is. Oh, that was a tough one. He was a good fish. He hit it. Everything went perfect, and I beat myself up a good bit about that one because I think I messed the hook setup, and I only had a few fish in the ice chest at this point, and so I was kicking myself for that one for a little while. Here's another good setup. So you can see that fish down there just slightly brighter than that tree. And guys, the reason I'm highlighting everything here today is because everything was moving so much, and I was having to try and get the beam constantly. Oh, there he goes. That's a good fish. Because everything was moving, and it was kind of hard for me even to track where everything was and what I was doing, I put some highlights in here today just to make it easier on our eyes and draw focus to where the jigs are, where the fish are. Hopefully it's helpful and not too much of a hindrance. I know a lot of you guys know exactly what you're looking at, and it may be a hindrance for those of you that do, but not everybody does, and so it may help kind of draw your attention to the right spots. Here's another one where I lost the LiveScope footage for this catch, but I still have, the GoPro turned out good. GoPro does not seem to care about the cold, so it just records. That was a pretty good fish. Under 12, but still a good size eater. That's what I'll look at this one. There were a few on the bottom like this that I targeted. And this one was actually stationary long enough for me to get down to. A lot of them that were on the bottom they were just moving. Everything was moving. There he goes. Looking up at it. There he goes. That's a big fish. You saw him stretch out. That was a nice one. And so I told you guys I changed jigs like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times on this day. I went through a lot of my normal colors. I started out with a hair jig, moved on to the 1.5 inch jigs, the normal ones that I use. And you know what I wound up using that was working the best for me? It was one of those little Berkley minnows. It looks like a real minnow, the smallest ones they make. I can't remember the size of it, maybe a 2 inch. But it was one of those, like just the off the shelf at Academy or Walmart or whatever. And that's what was catching me the most fish today. When I put that on there, everything I was raking it by was hitting it. And I went through a lot of my good colors, very similar colors and different plastics, and that's what they wanted today. So that's what I kept tied on after I figured out what they wanted. There he is. And so most of these fish today, like I think I caught 2 on something other than that, but every other fish was caught off one of those little Berkley minnows. I hardly ever tie those things on. I think I had one tied on just because I was teaching my daughter to cast the other day, and I didn't untie it, and so I threw it out there, and they started hitting it. So that's what I used today. So definitely never be scared to try a jig you wouldn't normally try. If you've gone through others and they don't want them, keep trying stuff until you find what they do want. It'll become evident at some point that you will find something that they will hit. There's always something. I have yet to encounter a day when there wasn't something that they would hit if you put it in their face. That day may come, but so far I have not. There he is. And so this is another one where I lost the LiveScope footage, so I had to just put the main screen up on this one for the GoPro. But this was a good fish. Look at him. He was a fighter. I thought this was going to be a big fish by the way he was fighting, but he was 12 and a half. I mean, it's a big fish, but not the monster that I was expecting from the way he was pulling. He went down 3 or 4 times there. Here we go. That's a good clean classic setup, right? You got your fish just sitting on the stump down there, easy to see. He's not moving around. I kind of got hung on that log, and as soon as I popped off of it, here he comes. Yep. I got stuck on the log, and as soon as that lure slipped off of it, he jumped off of there and came right after it. That's a good fish too. I had to throw back one or two today. Like I said, I lost some of my footage, like completely lost it, and so I think I lost, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 of the fish I caught. We don't get to see, but it was a good day on the water. Just really cold. I spent 3 hours out here, and it was a good day. Plenty of fish caught. So I think this is the last fish caught for the day, and you know, I wasn't as pleased with this video the way that it turned out, just because I had so many glitchy artifacts in the videos and whatnot. So I apologize, guys. Name of the channel is High Quality Fishing Videos, and I really hate to put out anything that's not high quality. So again, apologies for that. I'm gonna work to find a solution for the little glitches I am having. But thank y'all for watching. I'll put out some more soon. All right, we're gonna do some bass fishing videos very soon. All right, thank y'all. Bye, guys.